your presence, MEC Sithole Moloi, the Honourable Mayors that are present as the MEC has taken the roll call. Can I request that I do not perhaps acknowledge each and every one of you, but I really wish to observe that protocol and acknowledge all of you mayors, deputy mayors, speakers, MP chairs that are here, the officials of municipalities that are also here, and other councillors that are here, the leadership of SAUDA, the Director General, Dr. Kizi, HOD for Cooperative, Mr. Dube-Ncube, the team from the Treasury. I haven't seen the HOD Treasury, but I've seen the team from Treasury, team from Cooperative, and all the other support teams that are here this morning. Good morning, Sanmo. Sanmo. Yes, ngiyabani kodwa ngiyafisa ukuthi isipilana kusini kumnandi hlangene ngendaweni ezosijabulisa ukuthi umsebenzi uyaqhubeka komasipala. Ngifisa ukuthatha le thuba ukubingelela nonke nokwakho ukuthi namukele kulo mhlangano obaluleke kangaka nokubonga ukuthi esikhathini senu esibhizi kodwa nikwazi ukuthi namhlanje nibe yingxenye yalo mhlangano ozokhuluma ngodaba olubaluleke kakhulu ama-audit outcomes in the province, particularly in reference to municipalities that have received the negative audit outcomes. There will be those that have improved, but they are still on the negative that we need to deal with and we need to work with. I'm pleased, the MEC, that this meeting is convening with yourself as an executive responsible for local government, and the MEC Bongiwe, who's held up in the Portfolio Committee and the MPAC. We wish to thank you as the members of the Executive Council for your work towards the attainment of a better audit outcomes for KwaZulu-Natal, but also for local government and leading in the intervention thereof. We are all aware, colleagues, that on the 31st of May, the AG presented, do you have an AG? You're very fine, it's fine. Can I also acknowledge you, the AG's office, for being present? There are chairs somewhere in front of you, on the second row if you don't like this, the first row. But we also wish to acknowledge you and your presence here today. We're dealing with the outcomes of 2021-22 financial year, which has identified several municipalities from our province as having received negative reports over the financial year. We also wish to note that some of these municipalities are already subject of intervention of Section 139 of the Constitution, and some of these municipalities as well, according to the latest reports of the Auditor General, not only received negative reports, but also have undergone regression in the critical areas that councillors are supposed to be having a strong oversight over the work that is being done by our officials. And I don't think we can allow this deterioration to happen and the situation to even happen worse. That is why we are here today, colleagues. I don't think that it's good for me, it's good for you, for all of us in the province, that when the parliaments meet and receive a report from the AG, KZN is the last one on the pack that are receiving bad audit outcomes, because it means we're not managing the finances of the public in a correct manner. That's the bottom line of this exercise that we are meeting about today. Subsequent to the presentation in Parliament, the Office of the Auditor General further briefed the Premier, the MECs, and as well as the legislature itself. As the provincial government, we are required to report back to the Auditor General on our commitments, the commitments that we made when we met with the Auditor General in terms of how it is that we are going to be fulfilling our mandate as the provincial government in terms of the support and the intervention as authorized by the Constitution. The Public Management Act, it's very clear what it is that is supposed to be done, as well as other relevant local government legislation. When the MEC was presenting a report last week, my first question was to ask her, MEC Copter, what does the Municipal Finance Management Act say in terms of this kind of audit that we are receiving? What does the Constitution state in terms of the kind of audits that we are receiving? What does the Auditor General Amendment Act says in terms of this reports that we are receiving? So that is why we felt that we are not going to be the ones who are not fulfilling what the legislations and what the Constitution says we should do, but rather we should be able to meet with you here as affected municipalities led by the mayors. You are expected to provide oversight to ensure the corrective measures are implemented to resolve the audit issues and to prevent the recurrence. In this regard, we invited the list of municipalities that the MEC has mentioned in order for us to really get to understand from yourself what it is that needs to be done in order for us to get things right. Despite the current interventions by the provincial government, some of the municipalities that we are here with continue to display lapse in the administration of one kind or another, and characterized by the deterioration of reports by the Auditor General. And I want to emphasize the point, colleagues, that as much as we are also subject to the Auditor General oversight ourselves in the province, if you read the Auditor General Amendment Act, it clearly outlines what it is that each one of us needs to do. And we are, even as a Premier's office, I'm audited in terms of what it is that the audit of the municipalities, what it is that the audit of the departments, because of what the Constitution says are the role and the responsibilities of the Premiers. So I think you need to understand what it is that we are doing here and how important and serious it is that we also have to ensure that our obligations are met. So when we invited yourself, mayors, and all your teams, and the accounting officer at this meeting, we wanted you to provide a turnaround plan in addressing the negative audit outcomes. And I'm glad that all these officers are here, including the Auditor General's office, because what we are discussing here, they are putting it on their dashboard, and this is what they are going to be looking at in terms of my own assessment as well as your own commitments that we are going to be talking about. I think at this juncture also, let me remind everyone in this room that we are on a trajectory to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. And if we are to build an ethical, credible, and developmental state, it's got to be underpinned by ethical leadership. It's got to be underpinned by strong leadership that set the tone. And I'm sure you always hear from the AG talking about the leadership setting the tone from the top. And I think this is what I am doing from my side, from the part that we committed to the AG, and that is what we are also expecting from yourself. We need not to remind you, colleagues, because you are there at the local government space, how much local government is the bedrock of the district development model, an integrated development approach that is addressing the service delivery challenges through joint planning, budgeting, implementation, but also through ensuring that there is support from one another in terms of all our plans and all the work that we are supposed to be doing. Local government is at the heartbeat of our country in realizing the developmental targets as reflected in the National Development Plan. But with the challenges that we are discussing here today, we will not realize those ambitions and aspirations of a country and a province that delivers on social and economic development services to our people who are on a daily basis feel the icy grip of poverty. They feel the icy grip of unemployment, the icy grip of inequality, the tightening around of their hopes and the dreams vanishing in front of them because of local governments and municipalities that cannot deliver to those aspirations. So to facilitate this vision into action, we require a dedicated, a professional, a responsive leadership in the public service who are in a position, because of the merits, not friendship, that you are bringing into this municipalities that you are in. And I think we need to underline this, colleagues, because when the legislation came with the prerequisites in terms of abantu kufanele baqashwe komasipala ngabantu abanamaphi amava noma abanaziphi iziqu, kwakwenzelwa khona ukuthi kwenziwe isiqiniseko sokuthi abantu abaqashwayo abaqashwa ngoba bengabangani bethu, abaqashwa ngoba bezihlobo zethu, kepha abaqashwa ngoba bayawazi umsebenzi kufanele bawenzele isizwe. Ingakho sibona ukuthi kubalulekile ukuthi uma ngabe omasipala bengasebenzi, kushuthi the whole provincial government is not working. And we all need to understand that when the President Ramaphosa, talks in the State of the Nation address, and when he talks at the Lekotlas and the Mahotlas, we are also supposed to follow suit. Because we all receive money from the national government, from the national fiscus, and therefore we are expected to account for those monies that are given to us. Amongst these, we've seen the consistently poor audit outcomes as identified by the AG, the inadequate utilization of the municipal infrastructure grant and other grants from the provincial and national treasury. Financial difficulties, we've seen the maladministration, we've seen approval of unfunded budgets and the political instability. I do not want to emphasize this point. Last week, when the MEC again, Cooperative, when she presented the report to Cabinet, that was my also first criticism of Cooperative, that when the municipalities approve an unfunded budget, that is already a no-no, because the law is very clear about that it's illegal. You cannot approve an unfunded budget. And I don't understand if we have not even implemented what the Municipal Finance Management Act says, if municipalities have got unfunded budget. So you will forgive me, because if we are to succeed in local government, there is something that needs to happen, there is something that must be. So those municipalities that are here, that have got unfunded budget, there is still got to be a follow-up meeting where we are going to be outlining clearly in terms of the Municipal Management Act, what it is that the Act says should be done, and we shall do exactly that. We are not going to move from what the law says we should do. We've seen worryingly Umzinyati that is under intervention since 2016, and with other municipalities joining along. But even to date, we are still talking about the state in that municipality that is not in good shape. And I even asked MEC, what will it take for us to disband uMzinyathi, because you can't have a municipality since 2016. Budget, because the budget is unfunded. The state of municipalities in terms of the AG's report is that it's worse, but also even the interventions that are given are not yielding results. And that is one other area that at some stage I would want you to comment on. Because if we are giving you interventions that are not helping you, you should also be able to say, no, you are not helping us. You're not doing what the Constitution says you as a province are supposed to do. And I don't want absolutely smoke on one side. So, nathi masingayenzi kahle, sitsheleni nathi ukuthi no nana anenzi kahle. Nathi mangenzi kahle, sizawutshela nje ukuthi anenzi kahle. Ebese senza lokho kufanele ukuthi kwenziwe in terms of the law. In July in 2022, Executive Council intervened Mkhanyabote when the Municipal Council failed to approve its budget of 22-23. The budget associated with revenue-raising measures. Fortunately, the requirement for the intervention was eventually met as the municipality approved the budget and integrated as well as its IGP. While some progress was noted, particularly in the municipality of Umsunduzi, a municipality of Upofana, with advancement beyond the initial triggers that led to their intervention. Umsunduzi has recently regressed, and that is why Umsunduzi is here. Upofana has improved significantly, not to the state where we are supposed to be. So you are one Upofana of those municipalities. We are going to be having a nice chat because your budget is also unfunded. So you fall under those that limiting on the other hand, Utukela, Umzinyathi and Duba face a political situation of instability, and there are resistance on the current interventions. And I've said to the MEC again, akekho la kuthina online or owner labo masipala esisebenza kuwo. Not a single one of us as politicians, as officials, akubona bethu labo masipala akuzona izindlu zethu. So when you see our politicians or officials closing doors to Cooperative or Treasury, when you see politicians closing doors to each other, you wonder whether abantu baya understand that akuzona izindlu zabo lezi. And there's something that needs to happen drastically to show you that this is not your own property. This is the property of the state, it's a property of government. And we've said even to the National Treasury, I think we've been very soft on dealing with some of the regressions and some of the wrongdoings that are happening in our municipalities. I think it's about time that we really act, and we act swiftly to those that think this municipality belongs to them or belongs to their families. But allow me also to mention a few challenges regarding the affected municipalities. Recently, Cooperative attempted to secure a meeting with the leadership of Duba to introduce the new ministerial representatives, but so far without the success. And consequently, the department sought an agent court interdict to prevent the interference with the implementation of the intervention and appointed a ministerial representative. Kuyichilo ukuthi ukhokha fanele azaye enkantolo eyothi inkantolo kube inkantolo efanele ivule iminyango kahulumeni kufanele ngabe abantu bayazi ukuthi asikho isidingo sokuthi uzovala iminyango uvalele uhulumeni ukuthi azokwenza umsebenzi kufanele esikwele. As much as we understand and we appreciate that the court granted those interdicts, but that's not the way we should be operating. We should be operating ngendlela yokwazi ukuthi sonke sisuke emakhaya sazela kulabo masipala ukuzosebenza, asizelanga ukuthi sizoba bese sibenza labo masipala babe zizinda zokuthi senze izinto ezikhandwa yithini. Similarly, we've experienced a problem in accessing municipal premises in other municipalities by the ministerial representatives. Laba abango-ministerial representatives abarepresenta uhulumeni sibonile nakhona bevinjwa inkosi ilanga libalele by the leadership yakhona. And ipoint yami engisho njalo ku-MEC ukuthi mhlambe sizenza wrong lezi zinto ngokuthi senze sengathi siyancenga uma ngabe sikhulumisana nomasipala noma sisebenza nomasipala. Akufanele ngabe siyancengana ngoba ngibonile omunye umasipala ebhala ethi kufanele kuqalwe kuyena uma ngabe kufanele kwenziwa izinto kwa uhulumeni. Manje mina ngizowaphendula-ke ngoba ngiyawazi uhulumeni, at least ngenhlanhla kakhulunkulu ngisebenzile kakhulu kuhulumeni. Ayikho umuntu ukuthi uma umasipala noma u-MM noma umeya kusho ukuthi manje sekuyizwe la inkosi kuphela futhi ngcono iyodwa inkosi la yona kuphela nesizwe engasho-ke ukuthi hayi kuqalwa la enkosini kuzokhuleka. Kodwa komasipala cha, akunjalo. Komasipala kufanele sisebenze ngokwazi ukuthi sisebenzela abantu and umsebenzi sizowenza la akuwona owethu kepha owabantu. Nanoku-understanda ukuthi ngendlela kufanele siwenze ngayo kufanele siwuhloniphe, hhayi siwenze ngendlela yokuthi kukhona mhlampe okuthile okungale ekufanele sikwazi. Ingakho ngithe ku-MEC mhlawumpe even those municipalities ezisenkingeni we need to ensure that ama-forensics wakhona siyawenza. We need to ensure that we really go in full force ukuthi si-enforce umthetho walapha eSouth Africa. We'll then continue through Cooperative and Provincial Treasury to provide the necessary support in accordance with our provincial mandate in ensuring that the government's aspirations are met. While our interventions will follow a standard approach, we will not do things without working with you. But where there is resistance, I can assure you, we'll make sure as well that we give the full might of the law so that we enforce umthetho walapha in South Africa. We do expect our ministerial representatives as well to implement our consequence management resulting from Section 106 investigation within 3 months of completing those reports. And in turn, the performance of ministerial representative will be assessed by the MEC within 2 months. We've said to the MEC, we want to see our performance agreements for our ministerial representatives. Kunkwabona ama-performance agreements ukuthi anawo measures ukuthi yini esifuna ukuthi ayi-achieve within what particular time. Because uma ngabe ingenawo ama-measures, then it also means that uma ngabe izinto zingalungi zoqhubeka nje nathi zithi izinto zinoma when actually things are not normal. Let me conclude by saying that as provincial government, we remain fully committed to ensuring that the proper functioning of local government is enforced. When local government fails, all government fails, because local government is the touchstone of service delivery. That is why we live in this country which has declared wall-to-wall municipalities, with every square inch of our province, therefore, falling under a municipality. We can all not afford any regression, illegal, unconstitutional decision to bar interventions in municipalities by province or by any other sphere of government. And we also remain committed to supporting all of you as municipalities to ensure that we have a full recovery and a swift return to proper functioning and the service delivered. In other words, time this province was having more than half of municipalities that had clean audits. There was time when we all worked towards ensuring that clean audits are what we work with and what we do. So we wish to urge all of you, including municipal councils and political leadership, to cooperate and work together with us towards a common goal of improving Municipality. We understand that the road to recovery is going to be challenging, but we are, as a collective, I can assure you that we have committed ourselves to working with you, and we can overcome whatever obstacles that we find in our way to bring about the positive change and the better audit outcomes across the entire local government and also our KZN province. We will make sure as well, colleagues, that service delivery by provincial departments is something as well that we map out. Ukubona ukuthi ngabe ama-departments amanye kahulumeni wona ayabasupporta nomasipala, because that's the other thing. It's not only the role of COGTA to support local government. It's a role of all government departments, including national government departments and provincial departments, from the transport to every other department that we have. Human settlements, DSDs, every department is supposed to make sure that we support municipalities. And we really want to welcome the fact that you are all here and that we will work with you. Kodwa uma kufanele ukuthi sisebenze nani ngokuthi siqinise isandla ekusizeni nina ukuthi ama-officials wenu enze lokho kufanele wenze. Ngoba I always stress, colleagues, ama-mayors awayanga esikoleni kofundela ukuba ama-accountants, nama ngiyanga esikoleni kofundela ukuba accountant, ngiyanga ngifundela okunye. So abantu abafundela ukuba ama-accountants ake benze lokho abaqashelwe khona ukuthi bakwenze. Ababali bakufanele babali, mabangakwazi ukubala bahlehle eceleni bayekela abanye abazokwazi ukubala. Abo-municipal managers abenze lo msebenzi abaqashelwe wona. Mabangathandi abahlehle eceleni kulethwe laba abazosebenza. Sonke bakwethu asingancengani ukuthi senze into right. Asenze nje lokho kufanele sikwenze, singakwenzi ngokuthi sibhekeni, kepha sikwenze ukuthi iyona nto esiyiholelayo. Ngisho akekho ohleli lapha evolunteer. Sonke sihleli la siyaholela. Siholela ngeimali zabakhokhi bentela. Asiholelwa ekutheni ukuthi sihlale singenzi lutho noma senze lokho okuncane sikuthandayo. Kepha siholelwa khona ukuthi senze lokho kufanele sikwenze ukuthi impilo zabantu baseNingizimu Afrika, kakhulukazi balapha KwaZulu-Natal, zibe ngcono kulendlela esiyona njengamanje. And ngeke zibe ngcono uma ngabe sisahamba ngale pace or sisaqhuba ngalo line esiqhuba ngawo. So mina nabo mayor, speaker, sonke at the political leadership level, sizopusha nje ekutheni ama-officials bethu wonke nawe-province benze lokhu kufanele bakwenze. Makufanele ukuthi siqinise somewhere bomeya ama-performance agreements zawashintsha ukuthatha ukuqinisa kancane isandla ama-performance agreements, because mhlawumbe yiwo lawa angasincedi. Lokho konke ekuzofanele ukuthi kwenziwe ukuthi isimo sibe ngcono sizokwenza ngokubambisana njengohulumeni wesifundazwe kanye nani. Ngalamazwi ngiyafisa ukuthi siqhubeke nomhlangano wethu. Ngifise futhi ukuthi laba abangekho la abangazange ixoliso bese ngishilo ukuthi umnyango wakaphokt uzobafonela sibabuze ukuthi why bengekho la. Sithole ukuthi izathu zabo ngabe izathu ezwakalayo yini noma izathu ezidinga ama-consequence management. Ngoba uma kuyizathu ezidinga ama-consequence management akuyona inkinga ukuthi si-enforce ama-consequence management to labo abangafuni ukuhambisana nomthetho. So MEC kusho ukuthi sizoqhubeka nohlelo njengoba besu-outlineile. Ngiyathemba ukuthi bonke abo mayor bebetsheliwe ukuthi yini si-expecta ukuthi bayenze. Not a long story, but to the point of where there are areas, the Auditor General, that they have raised. But also from the AG side, we have said to the AG, Umthetho South Africa has given AG more powers, even including to arrest officials. So mhlambe nakhona kufanele AG naye kuyaqala bopha abantu abangenzi kahle. Mhlambe kuzobonakala ukuthi kubaluleke kangakanani ukuthi sonke senze right. Ngoba mangabe abantu kungekho i-consequences ezenzakalayo, should forever so hlala sihlangana la sikhuluma ukuthi kunembiko engekho right komasipala bethu kodwa kube kufanele ukuthi sonke senze ngendlela right. Siyabonga kakhulu MEC nonke namukelekile sengathi singaba nokusebenzisana kuhle. Siyabonga. Asikiphe lihlombe noma sizulu kuyanjani.